Hello everyone, welcome back to this workshop. My name is Savvy and today I will teach you how you can feminize your voice, masculinize it, or make it sound androgynous. Really anything you want to do with your voice. I hope here to give you some advice, some methodology, and some exercises for you to modify your voice to your liking. So first and foremost, I do need to make something really clear. When it comes to voice, we have to be really careful about the vocal health and the vocal hygiene. That means that if you want to be using your voice, you want to at least be drinking water 10 to 15 minutes before doing any voice work prior to that. That is because when you drink the water, it does not go directly to your nice little vocal cords, and instead goes down your stomach and it doesn't really hydrate your voice. The hydration process will happen through the blood flow and the bloodstream. So please at least drink water 10-15 minutes before doing some voice work. It will take some time for your vocal folds to have the hydration and be ready for using your voice. Other things that I have to mention is that certain medications such as spironolactone or, for example, hay fever medications and perhaps other medications, you might want to check if you have any medication you take ongoing currently. Some of these can be responsible for dehydrating the body. So, of course, you shouldn't stop to take them. Please take your medications. Please do what you must do with your health and your body. But try maybe to work around it. If you take the medication in the morning, maybe try to work on your voice in the evening, or vice versa. If you can take the medication in the evening before sleep and then have it not impact you at all during the work during the day, then that's also a really viable option. So be sure to always hydrate yourself a little bit before doing voice work. Be sure to try to work around things that can be dehydrating to the voice. Other substances such as alcohol or smoking are known to be dehydrating to the voice. I don't think you need me to explain why that is the case. It's not just the voice, it's the entire body, really. And so with that being said, at the end of the day, do whatever you want to do. Body autonomy reigns supreme overall, but try to work around these things. This is just some advice for you to have the best time with your voice work. If you have something that you cannot avoid that dehydrates your voice, it does not mean that you cannot do voice work. It just means that it will be a little bit tougher. And that's about it. Okay, with that being said, let's take a look at what voice is about. So for those who are not familiar with voice, we like to describe it using a very simple model. This model here is called the power source filter model. And very simply put, the power source filter model aims to break down the voice in three main categories. Namely, the power, which will be how much air we have in our lungs. And by pushing that air from our lungs, we can basically see it move up the trachea and then reach this little box. This box, this literal voice box, we call the larynx. And within the larynx, you'll find like little flaps that open and close really quickly, thanks to the air that we provide to them. So as the vocal folds vibrate, they create a source sound. That source sound will then move up in this space, in this whole tract, which is the vocal tract. And so the vocal tract is like a series of tubes. You have the nasal tube, which is like your nasal space. You have like the oral cavity, which is like your mouth. And you have the pharynx, which is basically the part behind your nose and behind your mouth, but still above the larynx. And so all of these spaces can be modified in shape and in size. And by modifying its shape, well, you can hear different vowels, different letters. A, E, O, U, all these different vowels are thanks to my tongue and my lips changing positions and shape. But something more fun can be achieved, or rather I should say something more impactful. If you manage to make this space really big
and wide, then you achieve a really dark voice that leans very much on the masculine side. However, if you make that vocal tract really small,
then you achieve a much brighter voice, one that leans a lot more feminine. And so by knowing how this all functions, we basically know that we produce voice by blowing out air. Then we close the vocal folds around that airflow. The vocal folds start to vibrate. They create a source sound. And then the frequencies of that wide spectrum of sound gets filtered out by how big or how small the space is and how it is shaped. And that is how voice functions. So I'm not here to teach you how to make your voice fit in the very narrow box of what is a hyper-feminine voice, or in the very narrow box of
what a gigachat masc voice might sound like.
No, voice is there's a wide variety of different voices, whether it is masc or fem. So here I want first to discuss what makes voice sound different between genders, right? And the main thing that we tend to look at is the biological effect of testosterone in voice, the sexual dimorphism that separates the two gendered perceptions here will be the testosterone. And why is that? Well, that is because testosterone will do three main things to your voice when it impacts your vocal tract. First of all, your Adam's apple, which is basically your larynx. It was the little bump here on your neck. You can take your hand and feel for it a little bit. Please don't press down, just let it rest just gently there. And you can feel a little bump there, and that bump is your larynx. And so that larynx, as you have the testosterone affecting your voice, will
drop, which will create a much bigger vocal tract. As you can see here, this is without testosterone exposure, and this is after testosterone exposure. It's a much bigger space, and you can hear the hollowness that comes from that much larger space. Then the second thing that happens is that your vocal folds that otherwise vibrate really fast end up vibrating really slow. And by vibrating really slow, they can produce really low pitches. Now, by producing these really low pitches, we already are in a pretty convincing masculine voice. However, the third thing that testosterone does, and you're probably familiar with this one as well, is that it increases muscle mass in the rest of the body. Not only your arms, your legs, but also your vocal folds, because they're partially muscle as well. And so, as your vocal folds are otherwise really thin, they kind of thicken up, and they can create a more textured, much more boomy sound. And just like that, we went from a really voice to this really chunky masc voice, if I may say so. And so you can reverse all of these three things and
go for a fem voice, or try to mimic the effects of testosterone and go for a
more masc voice.
Whatever your goal is, be informed that this is what we're trying to achieve. I'm not trying to teach you a specific intonation, a specific phrasing, specific words to say, this might depend a little bit too heavily on culture and on where you are in the world. At the end of the day, gender is a very cultural thing, and that comes down also, this is also perceived with voice itself. So you can be aware of this at the very least, that testosterone does these three things. It makes your vocal tract bigger as it affects you. It makes your vocal folds vibrate slower, and it makes your vocal folds a bit thicker. And all of these things make up the auditory makeup of the masc voice. And so this is what you're going to want to mimic or to avoid and reverse engineer if you want to achieve either a fem voice or a masc voice. Now, with all of that said, let's talk a little bit about vocal hygiene again, because when it comes to voice, we want to be doing another thing, not just hydrate, not just avoid dehydration, but also very simply warm it up. As I mentioned before, testosterone does increase the muscle mass of the vocal folds and their involvement in it. But that also means that there is muscle in there. And so just like anything, you're not going to run a marathon without stretching your legs. You're not going to last really long. So the same is kind of true for voice. We will do some vocal warm-ups. For this, I invite you all to unmute your mics and we'll try to do some warm-ups together. All right, I'll do a sound first and then we'll do a sound together. So I'm going to start on the sound O, as in the word old. So ol, and let's give this a try. So I go first. O. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. O. Very good. All right, let's try it one more. This time I'm going to do a Z sound, as in the word zoo. So I go first. Let's try this one all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. And let's try a last sound. This time we're going to do a lip trill. This little sound here. I start. Let's try this one all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Good job. And with this done, we are pretty much ready to do some vocal stuff, some vocal work. So for those who are new, what I usually tend to do is I try to have up on stage 2 people who want to make their voices sound more masculine and 2 people who want to make their voices sound more feminine. If you would like to get on stage and have a little practice session with me, please raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. So whatever you choose, I'll be starting today with masc voice. If you want to make your voice sound more masculine, please come closer or raise your hand or jump in place so I know that you want to move up on stage. All right, masc voice going once, masc voice going twice, masc voice going 3 times. All right, I guess we're starting with fem voice today. So if you want to work on making your voice more feminine, please raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. All right. Oh, do we got someone over here? Yay, I fixed it. No, maybe. Hello? Oh, Hal? Yes, you want to make your voice more femme? You're really far, so it's hard for me to see. Oh. All right. Then come up. Come on stage. Come on, come on. Oh. Oh, what's happening? I cannot hear you. You're really far. Oh. Da-da-da-dum. Ah, there we go. All right, Hal, want to move up on stage?
Sure, sorry, it's my first time using finger tracking.
Oh, that's totally fine. Don't you worry. Take your time.
Okay,
All right. Everyone give a big round of applause to Hal. Hey, woo! All right, just a little jump. Oh. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hello, welcome. Hi.
Hey.
All right. Let's get started. I'm going to set ourselves a little timer and we will get started. So, timer is running. All right. Hello, Health. Welcome, first of all. Is this the first time that you are in one of these workshops or just the first time on stage?
It's my first time in general, really.
Oh, really? That's awesome. So I guess I can ask you, like, what kind of voice work have you done before? What's your experience with voice in general? Singing, voice acting?
The most I'm familiar with is karaoke nights, where I kind of roughly figured out how to move the larynx. I'm just not aware of specific things.
All right, very good. So we'll be working on just that. Would you say you already have like a femme voice in progress that you've been working on? Or do you kind of feel like
I go for masc voice, and when I kind of feel for it, I.
jump to the femme voice?
But you don't really do it all the time.
Like, kind of what's your experience with that so far?
So this is about the deepest that I go, and it's kind of my resting voice. And I tend to bring it up a little bit when I'm on stream or with my friends. And I go between those 2 areas depending on, I guess, my mood and energy I have, really.
All right, so by mimicking your voice really poorly, of course, like we are kind of like around like this range, like it's not super low for a masc voice, like you could like go a lot lower. So like by default, your masc voice is kind of like softer. I would say it's also a little bit brighter by default. It could of course benefit from being a little bit higher in pitch, like perhaps like more up here, and perhaps benefiting from having a slightly smaller vocal tract by raising the larynx a bit more. So we'll be working just on that. Okay, let me get some text for us to practice with. So first and foremost, have you already tried practicing some exercises to feminize your voice before? Any exercise at all?
The most I've done is I'll try to practice with my voice more up here while reading poems from it's like poems that are generated from the Oxford Dictionary, kinda. And I'll just
Right.
read those for 15 minutes kind of thing.
All right. Is there like any objective that you go for? Like you're just like, okay, I just go for it and I hope it sounds good, or like you did say you're like try to bring it up here. Like, is there like a specific objective that you go for?
I'm winging it as best I can. That's why I'm here now.
All right, let's give you more than wings. Let's give you some tools that you can use to fly up high. So first and foremost, we'll be working on getting you to a pitch that sounds nice, and that can be both in a masc or a fem range, so we can kind of hear the difference between those two. So da 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 da. All right, can you hold a pitch for me? Any pitch, whatever it is. For example. Okay, this is an F3. F3 is kind of like a low medium pitch for a fem voice, generally speaking, in terms of pitch ranges. So, can sound like this, right? This is an F3. This is like a music notation pitch, by the way. Like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is not the right pitches, but you get the idea. So F3, it can sound both like this.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Or like,
that mad brat sat on that flat mat. So we're going to try to keep that same pitch and go for that latter version. So how do we do this? We try to make the larynx go up a little bit. So do you have a method to bring your larynx higher up, or do you just like kind of wing it, as you mentioned before?
It's mostly visualization. I kind of picture pulling my voice up.
Okay, interesting. There's actually a physical thing that you can monitor if you like. Just take your hand. I know you're doing finger tracking stuff, but just put it on your neck really gently. I kind of like to have my index finger underneath my chin on the neck and my pinky finger kind of like on the collarbone. And so I just lay my hand fully like this. So like my index finger is right below the chin. It's like for the highest spot of the larynx, and the pinky for like the lowest spot. And so as you keep your hand there, I want you to try and give me a whisper sound on the word ashes. So just say ashes, ashes. Very good. Now just the ah sound of the ashes. Very good. And as you do this ah sound, I want you to try to give me a really dark version of this. So not a ah, but a
much lower, much darker.
Very good. And now try the following. Very good. So you went for so there was not so much height on the last ones, but you did move a little bit faster than me up there. So you take bigger steps, so of course there's fewer steps. So now let's try this on the word pat, as in the sentence pat that cat. So try this out. Can you give me a really dark
Pat that cat.
Good, so you're doing
Pat that cat, right?
so the larynx is quite low. You can hear the whisper is quite dark as a result.
Pat that cat.
If you heard this whisper, you'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty masculine whisper.
Pat that cat, right?
And so now we're going to try to take the word pat and make it go higher and higher and higher, like so.
Pat, 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 pat,
Pat, pat, pat, pat. Try it out. Yes, very good. And as you did this, did you feel that your Adam's apple was moving up or down?
Definitely up.
That's very good. Awesome. And so, like so, you can kind of gauge where your Adam's apple is, and so you can kind of gauge how big or how small your vocal tract is. Not only can you hear it, a big vocal tract
results in a really dark whisper, whereas
a small vocal tract results in a bright whisper, right? And so what we're going to do here now is use that bright whisper and bridge it into a femme voice. So first of all, let's find F3 again. It's here. Yes. Now from slightly higher. Yes.
There or okay.
Yes. And now, like in your masc voice, just read monotonously. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Careful, you're a little bit too low. All right, let's try this. Now keep that pitch here. That mad brat.
Here, or...
Yeah. That's perfect. That mad brat.
That mad brat sat on that.
You went a little bit lower, like, there's a slight shift, but it's okay. We don't need to be hyper precise with these. As long as you don't go too low, because it is much harder to feminize lower pitches than it is for higher pitches, at least for most people. So here, now we have this, that mad brat, but we want to make it sound like that mad brat. So we go back to the whisper and we try this. Give me that mad brat on a dark whisper.
That mad brat.
Try it out. Okay, good. And now,
That.
okay, and now compare the two.
That mad brat.
That's mad brat. Okay, so you went from
That mad brat to
that mad brat. So there's still a lot of range to be gained. What you'll want to do is practice this whisper a little bit on your own to kind of like gauge and, feel it out for yourself. For now, you've kind of gone off vibes, moving the voice up. But now you have like a way to monitor this with your hand and by using whispers. It is a lot harder to hear brightness or a shift in vocal tract size if you have the pitch in the way.
that.
That, because your brain is listening not only for how bright your voice is, but also for how high the pitch is. Right? The pitch is the same exactly throughout this, but this is where you kind of perceive the brightness through the whisper. It's a tool of isolation. You isolate pitch away from brightness, and so it makes it a bit easier to hear. So far you've done
That mad brat.
and that's mad brat. Now what you're going to want to do is, as you do that really bright, that mad brat here, that's mad brat, you're just going to want to keep the bright whisper here, and just hold it a little bit. Kind of get familiar with that bright whisper.
So...
Very good. Yes. So now with this bright whisper, we're going to try to bridge that into a full voice. A whisper is what? The vocal folds are completely apart. They're not vibrating. So we want them to vibrate to go from whisper, breathy, and full phonation. That mad brat. Give it a try.
That mad brat. No.
All right. That mad brat. That mad brat. Yes, that is correct. Very good. Let's try this once more. You really want to take the time to hear the whisper, the breathy part, and the full phonation. Because what happens if you do this? That mad brat, right? Even if you started with a really bright whisper, doesn't mean that you're, it doesn't mean that it's a fail-safe that will keep your voice up there. This is why you use a whisper and a breathy sound to hear how bright your voice actually is. So, even in the in the breathy part, which is that mix between the whisper and the full phonation, you still hear how bright the voice is. You can hear it here. Oh no, what went wrong? Well, you heard the whisper got darker throughout, and if you had your hand on your neck, you could feel that your Adam's apple, dropped back to its neutral position. Okay? So, with that said and done, there's one more technique I want you to try and to bring home with you for you to practice on your own time, and that is to use yawns. Why yawns? Well, if you take the time to do a real big earnest yawn, you'll feel that your Adam's apple drops all the way down. Because when we yawn, we kind of drop the Adam's apple to really expel all of the trapped CO2 in our lungs, right? This is kind of like a natural mechanism we all do. But it's also one that we know how to all do that involves having a really dark and low Adam's apple, right? A really dark and big vocal tract that has the Adam's apple drop. And so, let's give this a try. Can you give me a big yawn? Like, oh. All right, let's try this. This time, I want you to try to yawn at a high pitch. So,
I try to keep your voice up there with the really dark, yawny voice.
Yes, that's very good. And so from here,
can you say that mad brat?
Oh, that mad brat.
Careful here. Did you notice what you did?
Oh,
that mad brat. So you actually let your Adam's apple move back up because, as I mentioned at the start of this session, your darkest voice is not your natural voice, or your current behavior, I should rather say. Your voice is already a little bit brighter than, well, it can go with a dark yawn. So already just by doing this, that mad brat, even if it's still in masc territory, you went from a dark F3, yes, F3, correct, from a dark F3 to a brighter F3. And so that's already you modifying how bright or how dark your voice is while sustaining a single pitch. The end goal would be to try to go from this yawn,
that mad brat,
and then try to step up like
that
mad brat, like so. But that's for you to experience on your own. All right. Do you have any questions?
I think it's mostly just stuff I'm going to have to go through in the VOD, to be honest.
All right. Very simply put, we use whispers and we listen for how low or how high the whisper sounds, or rather how dark or how bright the whisper sounds. Because the vocal folds are not vibrating, it's not pitch. So what you're hearing as a modulation is a shortening of your vocal tract. Whispers are a really good way to explore how small your vocal tract can get. Try to aim for the brightest one, but do remember to always try to make your whispers really quiet. There's no point in doing This will dry up your voice really quickly. Always prefer to go for a quieter sound. So whisper exercise or yawn exercise if you want to hear the pitch at the same time. Instead of doing you're instead doing which is virtually the same thing, but you just add the vibration of the vocal folds in the way. 2 exercises for you to practice with. You now have a bit more than just winging it to practice. Play around with this new little tool that I gave you, and I hope that you get your voice to the place that you appreciate and aligns with your goal voice. All right, Hel, you did really good today. Everyone give a big round of applause for Hel. Woo! All right, I'll see you around, Hel. Have a great one.
Thank you for your help.
You're really welcome. All right, next up on stage, do you have anyone who wants to make their voices sound more masculine? Any masc voice users?
No one wants to sound like a really big gigachat or something? No, really? No one?
Why is masc voice so unpopular? Oh, maybe here. Yes, wait, Shadow Kitsune. Yes? Have you already been on stage before? Alright, then come up on stage. Come on, come on. Alright, everyone give a big round of applause to Shadow Kitsune. Woo! Alright, hello there.
Hello.
Welcome to the workshop. Have you already been around here before?
No, this is my first time.
Alright, welcome then. Are you familiar with some of the methodology and the theory we discussed in this workshop so far?
Not really. All I know is that this helps, like my voice, I guess.
Alright, very good. So, you want to make your voice sound more masculine, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So, to make your voice sound more masculine, what do you want to do? You want to, of course, mimic a masculine voice, but what is the biological thing that differentiates the two? Well, the thing is a little hormone called testosterone. And testosterone, if you have it impact your voice, does three main things. It will drop your Adam's apple because, yes, even if you are perhaps AFAB, you do not necessarily have, well, you always have an Adam's apple, or rather, we call it with a scientific name, a larynx. And so if you take your hand and put it gently on your neck, you can feel for a little bump on your neck. Can you find it? Can you feel it?
Mm-hmm.
All right? It might be more or less prominent depending on who you are. Rather, it really protrudes out, or not so much, it might be more flat, but you can feel it. If you give me like a big yawn, like, can you give me a yawn like, ooh, ooh. Good. If you had your hand there, you would have felt that the bump went all the way down. Did that track? All right, very good. So as you can feel, your Adam's apple can move down with really simple sounds like a yawn. You do this every day. Perfect. That's a really good start to have. And so testosterone does have the Adam's apple or the larynx drop lower. That is the first thing. It makes the overall space bigger. Think about it like a ukulele versus a guitar, or a big saxophone versus a really small trumpet. These instruments have different sizes and they kind of sound brighter or darker. The ukulele kind of sounds like cling, 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 ding, whereas the guitar sounds more like ding, 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 ding. Very good guitar impression. Yeah, I know, thank you. And you can hear that the ukulele sounds much brighter, much more happy, more cheerful, right? Like you think of like the ukulele as something more, bright, more, sunny of an instrument, whereas the guitar is a bigger instrument, so the frequencies that vibrate within it can sound a bit more dark, more warm, well, darker. And so by achieving a bigger vocal tract, you also achieve a darker voice that can sound warmer and darker, right? So by doing so, we can already do the first step, which is increasing the size, but that's not all. We also want to, of course, drop the pitch down a little bit. If you speak up here, it's going to be really hard to masculinize. Even if your vocal tract is really big, it's going to be quite tough. So we're going to want to go for as low as we can, comfortably that is, and then maybe try to see if we can increase the vocal weight, increase the vocal fold mass to go from a really light sound to a much more heavy sound by thickening the vocal folds. That might be the more tricky part, but never say never. We might be surprised. So let me just set a timer really quick because I forgot to do this, of course. All right, let's go. So, Shadow, let's give this a try. Can you give me a slide from your highest pitch down to your lowest comfortable pitch? Give it a try.
Oh. I'm so
No, okay. So okay, we reached around an F3, E3. That's very good. Can you try and do it again? But try this time to hold that lowest pitch, like. Oh. Yes, very good. Oh. So F sharp 3, very good. So F sharp 3 can both sound like that mad brat. But they can also very much sound like, oh, that mad brat. And it's that second one we're going to try to achieve. So as you have achieved that low pitch, can you do it again? Nice, very good. You're good at mimicking this. This is awesome. Okay. So now just from here, let's try to read that sentence. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
You did move a little bit higher in pitch here. A3. All right, let's try this together. That mad brat. That mad brat.
That mad brat.
That mad brat.
That mad brat.
Good. That mad brat.
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 Yes, very good. And now, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That's very good. So far you sound like this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So we could get a bit of a darker sound from that mad brat to something more like that mad brat, and something that sounds a bit darker. So now, very good. I'm glad that you can do already these low pitches without too much effort. I mean, it did take going a little bit down together, but that's okay. Exploration is what gets your voice to unlock its potential, after all. So now from here, that mad brat, we're going to try exactly what we did with the last person on stage before, which is to use whispers to hear how bright or how dark our voice is. So let's give this a try. Whenever you're ready, can you give me a whisper on the words pat that cat? Like so. Pat that cat. Oh, did you say just pat? Oh, there you go. I was making sure. I thought the noise suppression was cutting your voice off. It's okay. You're doing great. Don't you worry. Can you check your settings real quick on vrchat to make sure that the noise suppression is properly turned off under the microphone menu?
What needs to be turned off?
Noise suppression.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Let's try this again. Pat that cat. Good. Now let's increase the size. Pat, 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 pat. Let's go as dark as we can go. Give it a try. Oh no, I think the last ones didn't go through. Maybe your mic settings are all strange. Oh, wait, sorry. Did you make the mic activation threshold go to 0%? To the very left? Okay.
Now it is.
Now it is. Thank you. Let's try this again. Pat, 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 pat. Very dark, like Darth Vader. Pat, pat, pat. You got this.
Pat, 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 pat.
Yes, that is a very dark pat. And now let's bridge that pat into da 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 da. We did this pitch before, so let's try this. But instead, pa 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 pa. Pot that cut. Give it a try. It's okay.
Can you show me again?
Yes, of course. First, pat. Then we go pat, 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 pat. Pat. Once we have this dark pat, we go pat. We close the vocal folds around the whisper. Give it a try. Okay. Pa, pa. So there's a little issue here. When we close the vocal folds around the whisper, we can go through different sounds. The whisper, the breathy sound, and the full phonation. Full phonation is what you and I are using to talk. Whisper is what we use to hear how bright or how dark our voice is. But in the middle ground, the breathy sound is like a mixture of the whisper and of the full phonation, where the vocal folds properly close and vibrate normally. And so we want to have breathy parts so that we can really hear that we keep that dark whisper. One thing that happened here in your case is that you reverted back to your old ways of having a higher Adam's apple, right? Of having a smaller vocal tract. And so the whisper here into the breathy sound allows us to hear if we manage to keep that properly. You can also use your hand on your neck and feel for, as you have this really dark sound, do that dark pat again with your hand there, like pat that cut. Yes. Can you feel how low that is? Pat that cut. Yes. Very good. And now, as you keep it there, just don't press down, of course. Just, it's a way to monitor your Adam's apple's position. Pat that cut. You're going to want to go pa. Yeah. Very good. So now you went from a pat to a pot. Yes, that is a much darker version. And now from here, can you try and go, oh, that mad brat.
That mad brat.
Yes, very good. Careful here, you kind of went, that mad brat. It went a bit brighter at the end, but that's the right idea. For you, this is something to practice a little bit on your own. You can use your hand to monitor how low your Adam's apple is. You can use the whispers and go for the darkest, lowest one to kind of figure out how dark your voice can be. But I will not bother you anymore. I know it's a bit stressful to be on stage. You've done really well. You have the potential to have a much darker voice. Perhaps with practice you could go even lower than F sharp 3 in terms of pitch. I would recommend to use pitch monitoring softwares to kind of gauge and monitor what your vocal progress is like. And other than that, you did really well. So just practice on your own a little bit, see what works, what doesn't work. Of course, listen back to your voice. Do small recordings, not 10 minutes of your voice and then it's a dense thing you cannot listen back to, but small recordings. Pa, 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 pat that cat. Then you can just press play. Pa, 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 pat that cat. And here I hear that I went, pat that cat. So I can tell that I went wrong on cat. So I can try just to do the word cat. Cat, 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 cat. And fix it like so. Small recordings and small adjustments is how you will get your voice to where you want it to be. All right? Best of luck for your practice, Shadow. You did really well. You were really brave. Everyone give a big round of applause to Shadow Kitsune. Woo! All right. Very good. So, next up on stage, I want to see someone who wants to make their voices sound more feminine. If you want to make your voice sound feminine, raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. All right. Raygun here in the middle. Have you already been on stage before? You're a little bit too far. Could you get closer, perhaps? Oh, I see. Okay. Would you mind letting someone else who has not been able to go on stage? I appreciate it. All right. Who hasn't gone on stage and wants to move up on stage. I'm Miku? Yes? Alright. Come closer. Alright, I'm Miku. Come up on stage.
Hello.
Everyone give a big round of applause to I'm Miku. Woo! Alright, hi, welcome.
Hi.
So, first time in one of these workshops?
Very first time.
Alright, awesome. How familiar are you with voice work? Uh-oh.
So-so?
So, okay. Does brightness, darkness mean anything to you? What about pitch? What about, how thick or how thin a voice sounds? Are these concepts that you understand?
Somewhat. Because I know pitch is like keys, and then like light and dark is like high and low.
Oh, light and dark. I would use rather like, oh, I see what you mean. Bright and dark, yes. I would like
Oh,
tend to
bright
say
and dark.
light. Yeah, bright and dark. Sorry, I might enunciate this wrongly. Pronounce this wrongly. Okay, so very good. You are getting the key concepts pretty well. So let's see. What's your experience with voice so far? Have you done any singing, voice acting? Do you already have a femme voice in progress that you've worked on?
I mean, not. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. You're gonna say no because you have something you don't want to tell me about. Alright. Alright, let's see this together then. If I ask you to read this sentence here on top, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, how do you normally do it with your current voice? Can you show me?
I would probably just say that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, so we're around here. What's the pitch of this? That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So we're like in the second octave. You know keys, you've mentioned so before, so we want to go a little bit higher. Femme voices tend to be, actually, let me show this, it might be better. Femme voices tend to be more in the third and fourth octave in terms of pitches, whereas masc voices tend to be a bit more down here. Currently, your voice was around here, evolved a bit up higher, and a bit down lower. So let's try to go again for a higher voice. Okay. This time, I want you to try and go for a higher pitch on this sentence. It does not need to be crazy high, but just a little bit higher.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
All right, that's very
Like I'm
good.
singing it, but
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. That wasn't F3. Very good. F3 can sound both really masculine, that mad brat, or that mad brat. When you did it, it actually sounded quite androgynous, to be completely honest with you. So that must mean that you did something right. That right thing that you did was to make your vocal tract a lot smaller. It could be a bit smaller, so let's try this following. I want you to give me a pat that cat on a dark whisper, like so. Pat that cat.
that cat.
Ah, careful, you do not want to be phonating at the same time. Pat that cat. That's more of a breathy sound. Also, your mic doesn't seem to be open enough for this. Can you make sure that in your sound settings that your noise suppression is turned off, as well as as well as bring your mic activation threshold all the way down to 0%?
Is that better?
Give me a really quiet whisper, like, hello. That is not coming through.
I don't think it is.
Okay, are you using any kind of headset, perhaps? Does this headset have its own proprietary software? Like, I know some, like, Turtle Beach headsets or Razer headsets have their own, like, noise suppression, because it's everywhere, you know?
Yeah, I have a standing mic.
If we can't hear the whispers, it will make things a little bit trickier. Your mic needs to be open enough to hear the small details.
Is that Can you hear background noise with that?
No,
Ow.
I cannot. But can you give me a gentle whisper again? Hello, hello. Okay, again? Your mic settings are kind of strange, but I guess we'll have to work with this. Okay, so you're gonna want to be a little bit louder with your whispers, not like pat that cat, but maybe more like a pat that cat. Just know that we do this exceptionally because we cannot hear you well through this mic. So, give me a pat that cat. Pat that cat. It is not coming through. I think something in your PC or your mic must be killing the noise. Okay, that makes things a bit
Probably.
more tricky. Yes. So let's go the other way around. Can you give me creak? This sound here. Very good. As you hear, creak is not the nicest sound. I mean, it can be nice sometimes at like the end of a sentence or going for the lower pitches of your range. You know, it can give that nice texture, that mad brat sound and that flat mat. But that creak is also really useful because that crackling sound here can have its pitch, kind of. So if I have like a really low one, like versus a really high one, right? You can hear how I switch from a darker creak to a brighter creak. The point of the creak is that the vocal folds are, yes, they are vibrating, but they're not vibrating fast enough to create a meaningful frequency that you can identify as a pitch. Instead here, the creak can be used just like the whisper to brighten your voice. So instead of doing like, we're instead going to do, and as we go for that really bright creak into femme voice, that mad rat, we this time, instead of closing the vocal folds, actually open the vocal folds more to find that vibration again. So, can you give me a really dark creak, like a big door creaking? Very good. And now the door is gonna somehow become smaller and smaller each time. And as you reach the bright one, you're gonna try to bridge it into a full voice. That mad rat. Give it a try. Yes. Yes. Yes, that sounds really good. Actually, really good. This is actually a much harder exercise, so I'm really surprised that you managed to pull this off. That mad rat and that flat mat. Okay, awesome. So, if you can do the creak exercise, y'all, it's a really good exercise to do. It does avoid the, shenanigans that a whisper brings, because the whisper dries up the vocal folds a lot faster than a creak does. The creak might not sound like the best sound for your voice, but it actually kind of is. It's really relaxed. The vocal folds are closed, so the air that passes through barely dehydrates it. And also it's really relaxing of a sound to have because the vocal folds need to be not so involved in terms of tension for that to be produced. So with that sound here, let's try this again. That mad rat sat on that flat mat. Again?
Oh, wait, hold up.
Take your time, find it again.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
This one's a
It
bit
was a
darker
little
than
more
the
open
former
this
one.
time.
Yes, I would say darker more. Like kind of you dropped back a little bit to like closer to your like usual voice from that mad brat. This time, this one was more like, that mad brat. So it was a bit bigger of a vocal tract. And now from here, let's try to say the sentence with a bit more intonation. So from this monotonous flat pitch, we're going to go for, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. So like, up and down. That mad brat. Try it out.
That. Wait. What was it again? Can you go over it one more time?
Wait.
Wait.
That was cool. Okay, so, yes. That mad brat. Just those 3 words.
That mad brat.
That mad brat. So this time the pitch was a little bit too low, and your voice was a little bit thicker, so it had like a bit more vocal fold muscle, you know, in the way, a little bit too much vocal fold mass, so you'd actually would want to make that a little bit softer. But I think that comes with you going for a lower pitch as well. So let's try this again on a higher pitch. Match my pitch if you can here. Okay, and from here, that mad brat.
That mad brat.
Very good. That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat. Okay, now we were too monotonous. We want to have that movement happen. That mad brat sat, that mad brat sat. Let's try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, and now from here, that mad brat sat. Da 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 da.
That mad brat sat. Da da da
That mad brat
da.
sat. Oh, so I did da 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 da. You did da 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 da. Right? So you were a little bit off in keys.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So, I think that you are able to reach this really bright sound, no problem. However, as soon as we move the pitch around, you notice it, you lose that stability in that small vocal tract posture. And so as you move around, that mad brat sat, you immediately go bigger and darker. So, and when I asked you to do the changes in pitch, initially you kind of just did that mad brat sat, that mad brat sat. You didn't really do anything other than be monotonous. And I think that's probably due to you focusing a lot on staying small and bright, which is what we want to do. But perhaps you yet need to become a bit more comfortable with these before starting to move around in pitch. What I would recommend is for you to play around with different pitches. For example, the pitch is A3 here, so in terms of pitch ranges, it's around here. And so you want to say, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Once you feel like you're comfortable enough and bright enough, you can move to, A sharp 3, that mad brat sat, then up, to B3, that mad brat sat, C4, that mad brat sat, and do this for about this whole range, and try to have this bright sound all across the range. Once you've done this, you've kind of scouted all the different bright sounds for these different pitches. So, the same brightness for all these different pitches. And so by doing so, once you're going to start moving around like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, down to that mad brat sat on that flat mat, right? You're going to know that you have practiced these pitches brighter and softer and more femme, and you're going to be able to move around those ranges a little bit more easily. Okay? So that's my recommendation for you to get better. Of course, you can apply what you've done before with others on stage here, which is to use the whispers as a way to tune your brightness, or to use the creak like we've done here as a backup method, given your mic settings and your mic properties. So both of these are equally valid for practice. So yeah, all I have to say is just practice this, and I'm sure you'll get your goal voice in no time. Any questions, Minku?
I think that's it. Thank you.
You're super welcome. All right, everyone give a big round of applause to Miku. Woo! All right, very good. And last but not least, up on stage, I want to see someone who wants to make their voices sound more masculine or perhaps more androgynous. If you want to do so, all right, see, I'm never going to pronounce this name. XYZM. Have you already been on stage before? Zim. All right, Zim. Nope. All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Zim. Woo! All right. Hello there. Hi.
Hello. Sorry. I forgot to
No
unmute.
worries. You are fine. Welcome to the workshop. Have you been here around before?
One time, but I had to join in late since I was a little bit confused on how to join.
That's all right. Well, I'm glad you could make it up on stage today. So let me start the timer. Oh gosh, it might be a little bit shorter because we are short on time and we're a bit late.
Oh,
so
good.
that's all right. Zim, welcome. Have you done some voice training on your own before? Some singing, some funny voice acting? Have you done any of these before?
I do sing, but I've not really gone into like details on how to do it, and I have my boyfriend teaching me a little bit of like at least
All right.
theory. I have not actually done most of the things yet, but yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So, well, in that case, let's see what we can make happen with your voice. First of all, I want to hear what your voice range is like. Or, sorry, I meant your pitch range. Can you give me a slide from your highest pitch down
To your lowest pitch.
Sorry, can you repeat? It's a little bit too fast for me.
Okay, sorry. I'll take this slow. I want you to give me a slide from your highest pitch down to your lowest pitch. Give it a try.
Down.
Oh, A3. Okay, very good. Let's try to go lower from here, if possible. I want you to match my pitch as I say it. Ah. You're a little bit higher. Ah. Let's try this. Ah. Yes. Oh, careful. Ah, you're waving around. Ah. Let's get a little bit lower. Yes, yes, that was it. Oh, you kind of went back up again. Oh, so you can go lower. I knew it. All right. Oh. Oh, okay, A3. Okay, that's fine. Do you know how to do Greek? This sound here.
Usually I do it a little bit better. My throat is
Maybe,
a bit different today.
that's okay. Do you maybe know how to do it at a higher pitch? Maybe maybe it's easier for you up here, like or perhaps at a different pitch. Would you say there is a more comfortable place?
I could try drinking water real quick and see if it works then. Usually.
Did you
my
not drink
throat's a bit more
water?
hydrated. No.
No. Why? I told you so. It's okay. But no. Gotta drink the water. All right.
Now open my water bottle. I'm gonna hope I don't knock that over.
All right. Let's not move too much. We're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. All right. Now try this.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, you want to go back into that creak sound. And what we're going to try to do is kind of go into that creak a little bit more to find that nice closure and to relax the vocal folds in the hopes that by relaxing the vocal folds more, they can vibrate a bit slower and help you achieve lower pitches. Because creak is one of the sounds where the voice is really relaxed. Okay, there is creaks where the voice is very much not relaxed. For example, there is fry scream, you know, that uses like in conjunction with false vocal folds, and together, right? You can do like some really gritty metal vocals, but here our version is one where the creak is really gentle and allows us to relax the voice a bit more. So try this. Give me a creak that you can like trail down from. Give it a try. Yes, that's very good. And then try to find that creak again and try to push a little bit more air through it. So like, you push more air. Instead of saying just, instead of just pushing like, push more like, so from here, try it out.
I cannot right now. I should have a better one. It's a bit.
It's okay.
There's more air, but
I understand. It's totally fine. All right. Now, we tried to reach for a lower pitch, but I want to see if we can reach for a darker sound. That is the most important part after all. Can you give me a bright whisper on the words pat that cat? Just a nice, gentle pat that cat.
that.
Very good. And now give me a pat that goes darker. Pat, 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 pat. Very good. As you do this, you can take your hand and rest it gently on your neck. Now from here, try pat, 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 pat. And try to feel for your Adam's apple, or rather I should say your larynx, as it goes lower and lower and lower. Try it again. Very good. Did you feel it move lower?
A little bit, but it very quickly went back up.
Yes, because really quickly, because your voice silently went back, made it go back up. Because right now, your usual voice is kind of like up here, right? And as we practice doing a more masc voice, we tend to be in a more like newer, more artificial, more controlled environment. And so, you know, whenever you try to speak, you have this non-null chance that all your old vocal behaviors that are your current neutral will end up, you know, playing back and bringing you back to this voice. So now you've done this gradient from bright to dark. Can you try and give me a yawn? Still have the hand on your neck and try to feel for that yawn. Give me a big yawn. Very good. Did you hear that at the end? Oh.
Yeah.
That whisper here says everything, right? The fact that you heard that like whisper, like kind of just like to shoot back up, means that your Adam's apple was really low, and then it went back up as you released all of the air that went into that yawn, right? So you want to kind of go back there, but stay at that low position.
Like right here. And try to speak from this.
I cannot hold it that well. It's like
Oh,
I'm
it's
able
okay.
to stretch it down, but I cannot keep it there while speaking.
Not
It's
yet.
something I figured.
Maybe not try to speak, but try to at least phonate. Just try to hold the sound down there. So like, or and try to fight the urge to just let the yawn reset your voice. Okay? Very good. You were able to hold it for some time. And then went back up. Okay, very good. So now from here, you've practiced doing this with a whisper. You've practiced doing this with a yawn. Now we're going to try and achieve a really dark voice here. So can we try and go for the lowest pitches we can go for again? So, oh.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, already here you went for the yawn equality. That's really good. Yeah. Now from here. Oh, that mad brat.
Try it out.
Oh, that my breath.
Ah, yeah, so, oh, that mad brat. You went back up to that brighter sound. So, let's try this.
Oh,
You're gonna say instead the word ashes. So,
ashes.
Ashes.
so notice how you went from this, oh, really dark, ah, into this really bright, shh, as, so kind of like, oh, shiz, right? As soon as you do different sounds, as I said before, it will kind of result to you using what you know how to do. It's a matter of charting new vocal territory. If you do that mad brat, then you kind of have to assume that like, okay, well, there's the sound, the th, teeth on tongue, the T sound, the M sound, and all these different sounds have a different tongue and lip posture and shape. And so if you do oh and can maintain that ah sound, doesn't mean that everything will automatically just follow through. So what you'd like to do is break down those words into smaller, more manageable components. Instead of just doing
Oh, that mad brat.
you could take the word, okay, that is 3 parts. The th, the ah, and the t. So you can practice a yawn version of the so it's darker. Same for the ah, but that's the one we've done so far, so that's the one you're doing right currently. And the T sound as well. So t, 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 t. Right? Can you give me a really bright T? It might sound like not a lot changed, but you still went from a to a. You just have a little bit less range than me. It's practice. It's also because I've had testosterone exposed to my vocal tract, so it's a bit of an unfair comparison. But still, you got some range here. And so then from here,
That.
you can try this in the whisper. Give me a whisper on that. Okay? Now you can try to make that go from bright to dark. That. That sounded great. And now from here,
That.
try it out.
Dot.
Yes, that was really good. You kind of did the first that, and then you did that. That was really good, really dark, and very much more mask leaning. So now from there, all you have to do is practice, and kind of, monitor your voice, listen back to it, and kind of fix it if you hear like there's sudden jumps back up to your brighter, more femme-leaning voice. Okay? So then, in that case, best of luck with your practice. I hope this has been helpful. I know it was a bit stressful and I speak really fast, so I hope you still got something from this. But you now have new tools, new methods, and new techniques in your belt, in your toolbox, if you will. So please, everyone give a big round of applause to Zim. Woo! Good job, Zim! Woo! You did great. Hope to see you around.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you around.
All right. So we are about almost done with this workshop. Rory, do we have any questions on either the Discord or on Twitch? Gotcha. Any on Discord, perhaps, V?
I have making sure I have everything set here. I have one question on Discord. Give me a second here.
Okay.
Just had it pulled up. from Ember, who's trans femme for context. Can you give any insight on the habitualization of non-speaking vocalizations, like sneezing, coughing, physical exertion? I imagine it's just about conscious repetition to the point of making it a habit, but I'm curious if there's any techniques.
I mean, I think you mostly described it best. Yeah, sneezing, coughing, these are kind of involuntary things that we do with our voices, so there's not a whole lot you can do with practice. Same for laughing, but you can practice doing fake laughs in a way. You could also like practicing fake sneezes consciously. So yeah, always go for like a higher pitch for a brighter, smaller vocal tract, and I suppose thinner also. If you sneeze, you're not going to have like the most control over your voice. Yeah, I think you pretty much answered your question yourself. There's not a whole lot of practice you can do other than kind of like workshopping your own little practice sounds. Coughing, sneezing, yawning. Yeah, I feel like yawning is probably the easiest one to practice. Ooh, for like a more femme yawn, for example, or similarly for a masc yawn, you would want to go lower and lower, although, you know, that could already like be the bottom of your range if you're going for masc yawns. But anyways, yeah, there's not a whole lot of methods in that regard. Just try to keep the same posture as you would otherwise do for your voice, and you should be more than fine. Hope that answers your question. Okay, since this was the only question, I'll take one question from the audience. If you'd like to ask a question, please come closer and ask ahead. All right, I see you, Spot Zero. Come close to the stage so everyone can hear you. All right, hello.
I have two questions. One is like more of a femme question, one's more of a masc question, but the first question
Let's start with this, the first one, the shorter one, if you have one that's shorter.
Okay, I've heard, like, back in the past, like, Morgan Freeman, one of the things he said that gave him his voice was yawning a lot. Do you know anything about the truth of that?
I wouldn't be too surprised. Like, Morgan Freeman had
Like a really like deep dark voice. Perhaps I'm overdoing it. Like in comparison to his. Like yawning a lot gets your Adam's apple to drop really far down, so it gives you a really dark voice. And so if you want to have a dark voice that sounds, you know, really hollow, well, it's not too hollow in Morgan Freeman's case, but yawning helps drop the larynx and it gives a much darker sound. So I would say, you know, Morgan Freeman is in the truth here. It's a pretty sound advice if you want to have an even darker lower voice. Yawning is pretty good for this, yes.
Hope that answers the question. And what's the second question about?
So problems I have with like feminizing the voice is that some of the voices I try to do sound hollow.
Gotcha. So some of the voices you do sound hollow. Okay. So when it comes to voice, I'm gonna pull up a slide I do not pull up too often. All right, there we go. So can you see the slide here on the board? Okay, yes. So I really gotta redo this one. So as we can see here, I used the analogy of a glass of water. Your voice is around here when you want to be more femme. When it is underfull or hollow, it is quite literally, well, because you have too big of a space for too little of sound production. In a way, when I am using a femme voice here, I am kind of leaning here. Actually, I would say my voice is kind of like leaning more here. It's like not super full either. Like it could be fuller, like perhaps here. And if I go a little bit too far, it's kind of overfull buzzy. And if I go really far, it's like really, really, really buzzy. But the idea is if you have an underfull or hollow voice, it can be due to one of these two axes. Either it's because your vocal folds are too thin and your femme voice is like too soft, and so it sounds too hollow, even if the vocal tract is really small, or vice versa. Perhaps like your voice is not, you know, your vocal folds are not too thin. You don't you have enough vocal fold mass, but like your voice is a bit darker, and so it sounds hollower because the size is trending a bit darker, right? So there's those two reasons. You should try to like do one or the other. If my femme voice is like kind of hollow, I can try to go brighter. ashes to ashes, right? Or if it's hollow because I'm too thin. Well, actually, I'm here. Okay. Ashes to ashes. I know I didn't change too much of the vocal tract size, maybe a tiny bit of it. I might have shrinked it a bit, but by going from really soft voice towards a really thick voice, but doing like it gently, I can achieve a more full sound. And because the sound is fuller, because the vocal folds are a little bit thicker, you get actually more frequencies out of this, and more frequencies means that when I filter it through a small vocal tract, you hear the brightness much better than if your vocal tract was, well, than if you didn't have enough sound going through it. So that's why I'm using the glass of water, because if you think about it, right, if you want to have a feminine voice, you want a small glass, so a small vocal tract, and water that fills up to the brim, but not too much, otherwise it would be overspilling. Too little and you would sound too hollow. So try to adjust either the vocal weight, the vocal fold mass, try to play on the axis of really thin to really thick. Or the other way around. Or try to play on the axis of brightness, although I probably think that's what you mostly did, given that you said all of these terms, so I guess you've been around a bit and you know some of these things. So playing with the larynx height and the overall vocal tract size. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you for your questions. Okay, well then, I guess we are about ready to wrap this one up. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Please, everyone, say bye to Twitch and bye to YouTube. Bye Twitch, bye YouTube, bye-bye. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, of course, to Rory and V. Thank you so much for helping me run this workshop as per usual. So, I guess I'll do the end of the workshop blurble. So, yeah, everyone, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization, voice masculinization, voice androgynization, and voice acting, singing, and also human beatboxing with funny sounds such as if you want to learn any of these freaky, weird alien sounds, or just to change the gender perception of your voice, you can always shoot me a message in Discord at savvy_sav, just like my name, just all in lowercase. I also offer public or private lessons, which, by the way, I run public lessons on my own Discord server called Scientifically Augmented Voice. If you want to be a part of this, just click on my bio here in vrchat, and there's a link to my Discord server. I do public lessons over there, so you can learn even more about voice here if you'd like to further listen to some of my teachings there. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this session. Either way, I will see you all again on the next Sunday. So you all take care. Best of luck with your voice practice, and I'll be seeing you around. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time. Bye-bye!
Savvy! Thank you, Savvy!
Thank you.